Okay, alright. What is up, my people? It is LT here, and this is the third time I've recorded this video. Every time I record it, it comes out too long. So, I'm going to try to speed through everything that I'm talking about. And if you don't get it, then I'm going to need you to just pause it and rewind it, and then maybe watch it on a slower frame rate. But, okay, so I'm going to blow through everything right now. So, the three things that I want to talk about. I'm sorry that I'm just in my bedroom on my bed. I'm sick. So, this video was made directly after the last one that I just uploaded. So, what I'm going to be talking about is the plot and storyline of my webcomic, Blood Brothers. I'm going to be talking about the plot and the storyline. I'm going to be talking about the Patreon and the administration and the business side of things. Then I'm going to be talking about the community itself and episode production. So, whew, let's just jump right in. All right. So, first thing I want to talk about the plot and the storyline. I I did make a lot of the storyline. I'm going to keep on making a lot of the storyline, most of the plot, and most of the development. But there are certain topics that I'm going to tackle. A lot of hard topics, a lot of mature themes that I'm not mature enough to tackle. Like there are some perspectives that I just don't have, or there are some outlooks on life that I've just not experienced yet, to where I feel like I know enough to comment on it. Like I want to make a gay character later in the series. I want to make a gay character, and this character is going to go through all the struggles of coming out and all the struggles of like being discriminated against for your sexual orientation. And as a straight male, I will never understand that fully. So I'm going to bring someone onto the crew, or I mean, I have brought someone onto the crew who has the authority to talk on such a subject. I don't, and I acknowledge that I don't. A lot of creators and a lot of writers and a lot of authors like to they like to pretend that they don't have a limit, or that they don't have anything that they're just plain out unexperienced with, and they like to act like they have enough insight on everything, or enough empathy or perspective to just write from any perspective, and it doesn't change anything. But that's just not the case. That's just not how it works. Like I am a 16-year-old straight male. That is all the experience that I have in my life. That's everything. Maybe I have some experiences that you don't have. Maybe I have a life. Maybe I have a different story to tell than you do. But the point is, I don't have your story. You know, I can never I can never uh, I can never write from the perspective of someone who uh, like I said, who's coming out and going through all the discrimination of being discriminated against for your sexual orientation. While I'm a black man, I haven't gone through that much racism in my life, so I'm gonna need some help when it comes to discrimination in that sense. Uh, Self harm is one of the things that I'm going to cover. I've never self harmed, so I don't know what that's all about. I can't speak on it as if I have any sort of experience or say so or know how, when I plain out have never touched on that subject ever in my life. So take everything with a grain of salt is what I've learned. And as a writer, I feel like it's a lot easier to just act like you know what you're talking about, but it's a lot better production wise, and it makes a lot better content when you just, suck it up and admit, I don't know what I'm talking about, maybe I need some help, okay? That's why my crew is slowly and constantly growing. So that's all of that. That's the plot and storyline. I'm going to talk about the plot and storyline in the comic, which is why I'm not talking about too much of it right here. And I'm too sick to care about anything. Sorry if my voice is weird. So I have a bunch of notes here that I'm going to be going off of, right? So this is the Patreon. If you know how Patreon works, good on you. If you don't, I'm going to explain it as it goes on. So the first tier of Patreon, you come in as a fan. To be a fan of the series, or to be subscribed to the series and get notifications when the series happens, and to just be a part of the series, to be a fan, to be a consumer, to be a reader, and to love it, you don't have to pay a cent, okay? It's completely free. All of it. It's completely free. To be a patron, that costs, okay? And I'm going to explain why in a second. So all of my entire crew, my entire roster, we all work over Discord. All right, all of my illustrators, all of my writers, all of my storyboarders, we all work over Discord, and we just get on group chats, and then we just go to work because we're not in the same room whenever we're working. I might be in my room, literally in this room working, and then someone could be in Tijuana visiting family working. Like, you never know. And I feel like that brings a lot more flexibility to the schedule and a lot more freedom when it comes to not feeling like, there's a deadline and, oh, you got to get this done at this time. I don't like to lord over people in that sense. So, it's work whenever you want, however you want, do just as long as you're putting in for the series, that's all I really ask for. So there's a lot of just group chats. We just hop on group chats, and we're all friends too, so we're all joking, having a good time, we're having a laugh, and we're working as we're going on. So that same Discord is where you would be added on to in the Patreon. So for $1 you're added onto the Discord. Straight out, flat out, you're with all of us now. So if you're added onto the Discord, you can be part of those calls when we're just working and sitting on, chilling out. Sometimes we just call just to check on and check in with each other, Sometimes we call just to, just be pals. So you can be a part of that. That is $1 a month, so an entire year would be $12, and you get to be part of our big Discord server, right? So that tier is, the title of that tier is Big P Plays. For the second tier, you would pay $5 a month. So for an entire year, that would be $60. And you get the behind the scenes, you get all of the sketches and all the concepts that aren't exactly added in yet, but are going to be added in soon. So that's kind of a preemptive look on things. You get all of the things that are cut, or all of the extras, all of the gags, all of that, I love the gag reels in movies because it's fun to see where they started and then where it, the end product came out. But personally, I always enjoyed that sort of thing, so I felt like that would be a fun thing to add in here. I may, at some point in time, combine the first two tiers so that they're one tier. Keep in mind, if I'm pointing to something, I'm pointing to the notebook that I'm using right now. So the tier after that is $10, and I may just have this be a thing that's just $10, you buy it, and that's it. The same way you would buy a game at GameStop. You buy the disc and you have the game, period. That's it. You don't go back and keep paying for the same disc because you already have the game. So at this point, the crew, that's the title of this one, is $10, and you get to become, like, the title for that is crew. And for this one, it's just $10 flat out, and you have it for the rest of your life. That's it. And for this one, you get to come on for an episode, and you get to write with us. But what I mean by write with us is you get to lead an episode and a story arc, and you get to make your own concept and then put our characters into that scenario. With that, you make an arc for a story. You get to literally, like, make an entire plot line for that episode. And if we ever need to come back for a flashback for that episode, or if we need more insight on how the characters were feeling at that time, or if we ever need to go back on a plot line in that episode, then we would come and contact you, and we're going to keep in contact with you. And you are forever now part of this story. You contributed, and now you're one of the writers that are in this story. And did I just curl that? Okay. And in that episode, you would get your due credit, obviously. You would get a shout out. And, like, under, like, the end credits, like, illustrated, storyboarded, written by, you would be under written by. You helped write the story. So that's for $10 flat out for the rest of your life, and we're going to keep in contact with you, and you're one of the crew now. But that doesn't mean that you're on the payroll. You're not going to get, like, paid to, like, be working, because you're not working. You're literally getting full creative freedom without any of the backlash or pressures of actually having to run the comic, which is a good thing for a fan. I'm not going to lie, that is hard on my team and everything, but at the same time, like, if you're in this, you're the reader, you're the consumer in this, and we want to do everything we can with the fans. We want to have a very close community. We want to have very close communication. And, we're going to keep the community alive. And in that sense, it may be a little, like, harder for us to, like, make this work, but, it's worth it. It's worth it to all of this. It's worth it to have that like extra community and have that extra, you know, aspect of it. So you come in and you write with us and you get a shout out at the end of the episode, like you helped write that story. And maybe in the beginning of the episode we might even like let it be known that you're writing the story. But you know, all that, you write an episode with us. So that's the crew. For the last one, that's my favorite one actually, but for the last and final tier, it is $20 flat out. That's it for the rest of your life. You have it, $20. And the title for this one is OCs. OC stands for original character. You get to literally create a character. It could be stemmed from your own personality, or it could be a person that you made up. It could look like you, or it could not look like you. It could be a good guy, it could be a bad guy. You make the character, and then me and my crew, we take that character and we integrate them into the story. What fits your personality? And we all voice characters, and I say that loosely because we don't actually have voice actors. We don't add voices into it. What I mean is different characters have different behind them writing their reactions and how they work in reality. Like we have different personalities behind different characters. So me, I am one of the main characters, Blanco, and the other main character is named Mavros, and he's voiced, or you know, he's built off of my brother. And my brother, whenever a conversation happens and it's dialogue with Blanco, I'm the one talking. It's not me voicing, but it's me making a character in the sense that like however they react to a situation is exactly how I'd react to a situation because the character is built off of my personality. Blanco is me, but I'm not Blanco, if that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't. Well, you know, maybe it doesn't have to. I don't care. So, for this one, $20, you get to be a character, be in the story, become part of the entire plot line. You know, and I don't want to have any throwaway characters. That's why I didn't make this one cheap. You actually do have to pay like a heavy sum, $20. Whew, you know, like that's a whole video game. You know, but $20 you get to make a character, and I would like to have it be not too many because that's why I had to make it expensive because if I made it so cheap that it's like this is the most flashy one of them. This is the most flashy, the most cool, I guess. This one, I don't want like too many characters like over flooding the plot so that I have to shoehorn in characters where they don't belong or make them background characters. I don't want any throwaway characters. Like, of course, background characters are a thing, and I'm going to have in like fillers and extras, but I don't want any of your characters. I don't want any of you to be put in as a throwaway character. I don't like that because it's almost like disrespectful, you know? Like, it's just like, oh, well, your character doesn't matter. I don't want that. So that's why I made it expensive, because I want it to be a select few that actually get to do it. So, also with being an original character, that doesn't mean that you only pop up in one episode. You may pop up in a few. You may only pop up in one, but you may pop up in all of them. Or you may pop up in like 12, or, you know, you never know. But as an original character, whatever we need from that character, if that character needs to talk to someone, then we're going to come back and contact you and say, how would you react if someone said this to you? Or how would you react if this character was put in this situation? Like, we're going to have you keep on writing the character arc for that character. So, that's all of the Patreon. So, I do still have notes here. When I thought of these, I was thinking from the perspective of a fan, which is why I feel like they're all fair. And I'm going to add more on them later, but right now, Webtoon is the main thing that I'm using for posting any of the content for the comic. And it's just Patreon, it's Discord, and it's Webtoon. And I'm going to have to expand later. But right now, I'm not going to. Right now, it doesn't suit me. It doesn't really do anything for me. Later, I'm going to maybe go on to Discover and other Webtoon-like platforms. But for right now, Webtoon is the only comic consuming app that I personally use, I read comics on Webtoon. I'm not just in it to be a creator. I'm also a very big fan. I read Unordinary, Lore Olympus, Unlovable Replacement, Socializing 101, Let's Play. All of these like very fun series that I watch. But the point that I'm trying to drive home is that I'm a fan and that I use this platform and that I enjoy it and that I know how it works. That's the only reason that I'm comfortable using this platform and this platform only. After I start actually using, if I want to start posting the comic on Discover, then months before I actually do anything to put that on to Discover, I'm going to start reading on Discover, and I'm going to get into a series on Discover, and I'm going to learn all the ins and outs of the actual platform so that I feel comfortable using it later. So that's pretty much everything. Now I'm just going to talk about episode production and how that works. So, say that it's a Blanco episode. It's an episode about my character. So I would write the episode, right? I would write everything that happens, and I would write it pretty detailed, but I wouldn't add in the, I wouldn't be drawing it as I'm writing it. I'd just be writing down everything, and I'd be writing where the story takes off, and all of the plot points and all of the arc for that episode, and then I would hand that off to the storyboarders, and the storyboarders, or no, I'd hand that off to the writers first, and the writers would tweak anything that like needs more background information, or to edit everything and make sure that it's crisp and it makes a lot more sense, and that it comes across the way that I want it to come across, or that it makes sense. Then that would be handed off to the storyboarders, and the storyboarders would work with 3D modeling, and to make every set for the every frame of the comic would be in an actual set, and the sets would basically work in the way you would think they would work. It would be like actors in a set. It would every set is a frame, and every frame is a frame, an actual picture in the comic. So after it's given to the storyboarders, and they make how the characters look and how they contort, and every position that they're in, and where they're at and all they're doing, all of that stuff, that would be handed off to the illustrators, and the illustrators would use that as a model to draw off of, and then draw the comic how it's going to look when it's actually published. And then that would be handed back all the way up the chain to the writers, or not to the writers, to the creator of the episode and the writers in conjunction, and they would make the dialogue for the episode and put that in, and then that would be posted. So that's how every episode is going to be made. Episodes are already in production, and we're already making episodes, so be on the lookout for that. I'm going to hire just some people to just be on the Discord server, because if we're not on the Discord server, if we're not active on it, we're only usually active on it when we're working, checking up on each other, or just palling around. So if we're not doing any three of those things, we're still going to have people to run administration on the comic Discord server, so that things don't descend into chaos or something like that, or we don't get hacked, or everything doesn't become a complete shit show, or we don't just leave you guys hanging, So we're gonna still be interactive with you guys always, constantly, and we're going to have people in the crew to remind us of that. So I believe I had just covered everything that I need to cover, and I talked about everything I needed to talk about. But also one more thing, I want to talk about the crew Patreon. So the tier for crew, it's write an episode and all of that. I personally love that because one of the stories, or one of the shows that I drew inspiration from, was Avatar: The Last Airbender. Avatar: The Last Airbender was is still one of my favorite stories ever. It's so creative, and it's such a good story. It's just a good story. But one of my favorite episodes was the episode Caught in the Storm, or I don't know what it was called exactly. I forgot what the episode itself was called, but I think it was called Caught in the Storm, or The Eye of the Storm, or something like that. And it is an episode where, in the episode, in that time setting, the characters are caught in a storm. And, they're going through their own struggles in the storm. And Aang, I believe, is out fishing with a fisherman. Sokka is. And Katara is in a village doing her own thing with Aang. And there's a storm, they get washed out or whatever, and Aang and Katara have to come save them on Appa. And so that's their storyline, but it's also a dual story with Zuko, and he's running his crew trying to follow the Avatar and you know he's trying to capture them like he usually did in the early stages of the series, and he gets caught in the storm, and he's on a ship, so that's bad. And he's pushing his crew to just go through the storm when that's not the safe option. He should really just go into the eye of the storm and wait the storm out. So that's what's happening in the actual episode itself. Spoilers, I guess. But also they're going to flashbacks, and they're fleshing out the characters in the sense that you get the story. That's the episode that you get the story of how Aang left the Air Temple, and how he discovered that he's the Avatar, and how Zuko got the scar on his face, and how he got exiled from his country and going from a prince who was going to have the world in his hands to less than a peasant in the Fire Nation. So it's such a big character development episode, and I loved it so much that every time I watch it, I think, man, I wish that I wrote this episode. Not that I wrote the story, or that I wrote the series, or that I made the entire show, but I just wish that I wrote that episode. That's where the inspiration came from with the crew, you know, the crew Patreon. That, like, if I could go back and I could pay $10 to write that episode, I would. And that's why I made it, because, like, I don't... Whoops. And that's why I made it. Because I wouldn't create a tier that I wouldn't buy myself if I liked it. So none of this is just like, oh, well, you know, here's this, you know, like, no, all of this I actually put thought into. For the OG fans, you get behind the scenes and stuff like that, like all of the sketches, all the bloopers and all of that stuff, and all of the concepts that are fooled around with, and things that may not even be put into the series, or things that will be put into the series later. All of that stuff, I would have paid $5 a month to, like, get all that stuff. Like, if you watch a movie and then you stay around for the end credits, or you watch the bloopers, or you watch the gag reel, I watch that stuff. I do. And I like it. I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing where it is now. I'm trying so hard to get comfortable because I'm hot just standing still because I have a fever. But I would have done that. I would have definitely bought that tier, because it's the same concept as a gag reel, or a blooper reel, or behind the scenes. It's literally the same concept, and I enjoy those things. So, you know, as a fan, I enjoy those things. So I would assume, or I would hope, that some other people could get joy out of that too. They wouldn't make it if no one was watching it. So, and the normal one, just special Discord, I would give anything. I shouldn't say anything, but I would give most things to be in contact with some of my favorite content creators. Like, if I could have a sit down with, like, PewDiePie, or Aphmau, or Alex Hirsch, or Steve Harmon, like, if I could just have a sit down and talk with these people and just, like, be cool and be close with them, dude, I would do it. Like, man, oh my god, like, and this one is literally just $1 a month. It's $12 a year to be, like, close and, like, just be in the community. Like, literally, you get to, people pay a lot of money to, like, man, I don't understand how to get this across, but, like, I would give so much to just sit down in a room and just have a chat. No cameras or anything, but just have a chat. Interview style. With Rebecca Sugar or something like that. And broski, this is literally that. You get to, it's not an interview, and it's not like we're having a sit down conversation. You are literally just joining the chat with a bunch of our friends and just palling around with us. It's great. It's lovely. And I would have done the exact same thing. I would have bought that tier if it was available to me. If Rebecca Sugar one day said, hey, if you pay $12 a year, then for that entire year, we can just, you know, just chat sometimes and hang out sometimes. Bro, do you have any idea how much I would die? Like, okay, anyway. And for the $20 OC, become a character, I would love to add my character into some of my favorite series, like Dragon Ball Z, Fairy Tail. I'm drawing a huge blank right now, but let me start over with that sentence. I would love to add my character to some stories that I like Trinity 7. That's one of my favorite animes, or Parasite, that's one of my favorite animes. I almost called it Natsu Dragon Tail. I mean Fairy Tail. Dragon Ball Z, you know, like all of these stories that I really like a lot. I would love to have my character be somewhere in there. Like, I would have loved to see myself in that story, or imagine what my character would be like if I grew up in that setting, or if I existed in that world, what I would be like. And for one, I just want to put this out there. If I was in the if I was ever in the Fairy Tail universe, then I would definitely be some sort of cross between Natsu and Guildarts. Just want to let that be known. Anyway, so I thought that all of these tiers and all of these rewards are good enough. You know, like, they're not just for show. I would have actually enjoyed these things as a fan. So I'm putting these things out there for you guys. And also, like, this is just the bare minimum. This is just right now. This is the concept itself when I wrote it down before I went to sleep. I mean, like, I'm going to add more stuff to this, and I'm going to obviously, like, add more rewards and add more things that you can get out of this for the same price. The price of these tiers is not going to change. The price of these is never going to change. The price of these is never going to change. But the rewards are going to. The rewards are going to change. The benefits are going to grow. And that's going to be like a cool thing that's going to happen. It's going to mature as it goes on. But for right now, this is the base, the core. This is fair. This is fair. But then I want to add more to it to make it more than fair, to make it a benefit, to make it more than just worth it, you know? I don't want it to just be, you know, oh, you know, you got what you paid for. I want you to get more out of it than me, to be honest. That sounds unhealthy. Hold on. Let me explain that. That sounds unhealthy. But I mean, like, I want you to get more out of this series than me, in the sense that making the series, I'm the author. Like, I'm getting paid for this. I'm getting to make my story something I enjoy, something that I do anyways, and then I get to post that and share that with a bunch of people, and have so many people critiquing and giving me feedback on something that I love as a passion, and I get paid for it. I'm getting so much out of this transaction that I want you to get more out of it than me. I want you to be on top of the world with this. I want you to get, I want you to enjoy this. I want you to be happy with this. I want this to be something that doesn't, I don't want it to influence your life, but I want it to be a positive thing. I want it to be a positive in your life. I want it to be something that you can just sit down and enjoy the same way that I would enjoy some of my favorite TV shows when I got home and ate a bowl of cereal. Like, I want that to be, I want it to be close for you, because it's close for me. So I want it to be close for you. That's pretty much it. That's all. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, make sure to leave a like. If you didn't, make sure to leave a dislike. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Unsubscribe if you don't want to see it anymore. And share this video with all of Jamaica. I will see you all in the next video. Chifachi.